The reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 is fairly straightforward, but it contains several subtle moments that, when placed in the context of the original's ending, along with some statements made by director Neil Druckmann, provide potential insights into what Ellie and Joel have been up to and where they are headed. Our first hint is the trailer's second establishing shot, which transitions from a wide view of a lush forest to this tighter angle that gives us a closer look at this one tree right here. You can see that there are 3 deep gashes, likely claw marks, torn into the bark. While it's possible a large animal like a bear could have done that kind of damage, it's unlikely that the camera has focused here for something so trivial. To the left of the claw marks, we can see not only moss, but spots of fungus. While not all fungus in the world of The Last of Us is deadly, this is certainly meant to act as a reminder to the viewer that the cordyceps brain infection is most certainly still at large. More importantly, seeing as none of the infected were previously seen to have claws of any kind, this could be hinting that the already mutated strain of Ophiocordyceps unilateralis has mutated further, perhaps to the point where it alters the external physiology of its host rather than just its brain. After several more shots, we see a stop sign with the insignia of the Fireflies painted on it. The Fireflies were an important resistance faction in the first game, and Joel and Ellie weren't exactly on good terms with them when the credits rolled. Joel killed a bunch of them to free Ellie, who they had intended to perform life-threatening surgery on in order to understand her apparent cordyceps immunity with the hopes of finding a cure for humankind. Knowing that, it would be logical to surmise that this was a Firefly compound that Ellie has attacked, but here we can see Ellie sitting on a bed inside a room plastered with music posters. While it's possible one Firefly was a music fan, all the rest of the interior shots of the house show completely barren walls, not to mention doorways clogged with natural overgrowth, which seems inconsistent with the idea of this being an actual Firefly safe house. What would explain all of this is that Ellie and Joel attacked the Fireflies living here, set up shop, and then left the Firefly emblem outside with the intent to use the area as a trap to lure in and kill any Fireflies that came looking. This would make sense, seeing as the Fireflies are almost certainly still looking for Ellie, what with her being the key to the cure. But is she really? When we first see her here, her hand is uncontrollably shaking. The obvious reason would be that she's hopped up on adrenaline after killing the 3 people we see in the living room, the bathroom, and at her feet, all of whom had fresh blood on them, indicating that she just finished them off. However, shaking hands can also be the result of neurological degradation. While Ellie has proven resistant to full-on infection, we already know that there are deposits of mutated fungus growing in her brain. According to a panel held at PSX 2016, we also know that at least 5 years have passed. Assuming that the fungus has continued to grow in that time, Ellie's immunity may be moot at this point, with the physical strain of the mass almost certainly compromising her neurological capacities in numerous ways. Handshakes are likely the very least of Ellie's symptoms at this point. Speculating further, we see what appears to be a bite on her neck. She was originally infected by a bite on her arm, so this one is certainly new. If cordyceps has indeed mutated and she suffered an attack from some new form of infected, her immunity to the old strain may not completely protect her. Keep all of this in mind as we get into Joel's part in this reveal. Everything about his presence here is just a little bit off. From him entering almost as a silhouette in the light of the front door, to the way we never quite see his face. His exchange with Ellie is odd as well. The Last of Us usually did reverse shot style cuts for conversations, or some kind of 2-shot with both of them featured prominently in the frame. Here though, Joel never faces the camera, and even as he speaks to Ellie for the first time, he's pushed all the way to the edge of the frame. His choice of words and demeanor are strange as well. He nonchalantly asks,
"What are you doing, kiddo?"
seemingly unfazed by the prospect of her brutally murdering 3 people and then playing the guitar over one of their corpses. He questions her further, asking if she's going to go through with this, but the deed is already done. This is all completely at odds with the conversational tone established between the 2 characters in the original. These odd, vague questions, combined with Ellie's response that she is going to kill all of them, have led to a popular fan theory that in the intervening years, the Fireflies killed Joel in their pursuit of Ellie, that Ellie, consumed by rage, has vowed revenge, and that this version of Joel exists only in her mind. While this makes sense on some levels, here's another read, that the presence of a growing foreign matter in her brain has begun to compromise her mental faculties. She may even finally be in the early stages of turning entirely, seeing as increased agitation and physical aggression are the earliest symptoms of the cordyceps infection. And if we're meant to experience the entire story from her perspective, she would likely serve as an unreliable narrator of sorts, meaning that Joel could be alive, or he could be dead at the hands of the Fireflies, or he could even be dead by her hands, and her mind is just crafting a narrative to justify the nameless rage her condition is beginning to fill her with. Even seemingly mundane details about the trailer indicate that the entire scene inside the house is nothing but a patchwork construct pieced together from fragments of Ellie's memory. First off, she's wearing what appears to be Riley's shirt from the Left Behind story DLC, and the guitar she's playing is actually a sneaky reference to a live stage performance called One Night Live. It starred both Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, both reprising their roles as Joel and Ellie, and it ends with Joel gifting a guitar to Ellie as he reminds her that he once promised to teach her how to play. We never see this in the actual game, but this stage performance was directed by Druckmann himself, making it more or less canon. Both of these details are linked to what would be powerful, intimate memories of two people that Ellie loved deeply, so it would make sense for them to show up in a dream or a hallucination. Then there's the song she's playing on the guitar, a track from the debut album of blues artist Sean James, entitled Through the Valley. Its lyrics speak to the moral ambiguity that typifies The Last of Us, but it's the final verse, which Ellie doesn't sing, that connects it to her past. The verse references meeting a man who claims to want to save the world from destruction and pain, and then replying with the question, how can you save the world from itself? The very same question facing Joel and Ellie all the way through to the end of the first game. Finally, you'll notice the overgrown windsill, flanked by thin, wispy drapes, looks nearly identical to the title screen of the original. One way all of these disparate pieces could make sense together is if the entire scene in the house is actually an artificial product of Ellie's deteriorating mind. What do you think? Is the fan theory about Joel and Ellie true, or is there some other explanation for what we saw in the trailer? Sound off in the comments, and if you haven't seen it yet, don't forget to watch the actual reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2. And if you've never played the original, then go take a look at our review for The Last of Us, all on IGN.